Welcome to VFX Daily. I'm Josh Johnson, and I'm going to be teaching a PFmatchit tutorial along with a little bit of Cinema 4D, just how to get your match move into Cinema 4D. PFmatchit is new software. It's a node-based 3D tracking, and I must say it's really amazing. I'm very impressed with it so far. I will be using it a lot in the future, that's for sure. The first thing I just want to show you is this green bar down here is indicating where the file is cached. So I got just a little bit more here to cache, and the way you do that is first you can go to your settings, and under the cache you can set your cache size, and obviously this relates to how much RAM you have. And you can tell the cache used right now 52%, and this is where you can clear it. You would push apply and then push OK. But I've already done that, and I'm just going to cache the rest of the shot just by pushing play. And there we go. So I can scroll through it, and you can see the shot. Looks nice, all match moved. So I want to get started here. But before I start working through the shot, I just want to show you. So here's the original plate, and one thing you can do when you're setting up your project, or you can even do it at the point of where you drop your footage into your tree over here, is you can set your frame rate, your film back, and potentially a preset if they have one for you. There's quite a few built-in presets here. I actually made this preset myself because I know we shot on the red 4K 16:9, and it was at 24 frames per second. And the film back for the red at this is 22.12 millimeters. I'm sorry, we're not dealing with liquids here. So I put that in and just saved it as a preset, and now I can come back and use that anytime. I use footage from the red on these settings. The next thing after that, all I did was bring an undistort node into the mix, and I shot a lens grid, and I brought that in separately and used the lens grid to figure out the distortion for this shot. I'll go through that another day, but basically into the distortion here after I got it, and I know this was shot on 25mm lens, so I entered 25, and that is that. And you can see here with the undistort node, it actually expanded the frame size to 2089 by 1176, because the original frame size we were working with was 2048 by 1152. So it expanded that, and the reason being is you want to work in your 3D application with this undistorted footage, so you want to save out this undistorted footage with an export node and continue in your 3D program working with this to match everything up, and then after you're done with your 3D, you'd render that out and then bring it into PFmatchit and then redistort all your CG stuff, and then you can put it back onto the distorted plate. But okay, let's get started here. The first thing I'm going to do is just throw an auto track on here. Let's pipe that into the undistort node, and I'm going to fix these settings here. So candidate number 90, target number 80, search mode I'm just going to go better accuracy, and the feature threshold I'm going to put at 0.6. And there's several ways you could track the shot or approach it. You could, before this auto track, you could do some just manual trackers or user trackers. You could do the user trackers after the auto track if you wanted as well. But if you do it before the auto track, there will be a hint for the auto track to go off of while you're tracking. But the way I did this shot was one of the first things I did in PFmatchit, so I was just kind of testing the auto tracker and then testing some of the new features and capabilities of the program. As you can see over here, after I auto-tracked it, I used an edit camera node because the auto-track didn't get me all the way there. But with the edit camera node, I just built a camera path manually, and then I threw a camera solver in there, and the camera solver used the auto-track along with the manual camera path that I fed into it, and then it solved the shot correctly, and I just oriented the scene, scaled it, and put some test objects in. So let's just go ahead and auto track the shot. Auto track. That's going through. And I do have it on backtrack, so it's going to come back and reverse track. I'm going to let this track, and I will be right back. Alright, we're back, and the shot tracked. We got some tracking markers in there. Before I did the auto track, I could have went to the mask panel over here and just did a rough roto garbage mat for our actor here, so the tracker wouldn't have tracked any of those shots, or wouldn't have tracked any features on him. But I believe PFmatchit did a pretty good job of not picking too many features on him at all. I noticed he was moving, so there is one right there that I'm going to delete. I'm actually going to delete those on there. Let's take a look to see if there's any more. Okay, that looks pretty good. Next thing I'm going to do is just bring an edit camera node in here. Like so. Let's go to our 2-view horizontal and bring our perspective. And then for the edit camera node, I'm just going to go into the transform menu, click translate, and camera. Okay, I'm just going to give it a 3. And now I'm just going to start right here and then come to the end. And zoom out a bit here and just animate the path right about there. And you can see you got a path now. Clearly, this isn't a perfect match move as it stands. And I'm just going to put a little bit of curve in the path. It's not 100% straight. Okay, that looks good. Maybe even less than that, so there you go. Okay, that looks good. Now let's just make a camera solver. And let's tell the camera solver to use input motion as hint. So that'll use our edit camera manual path as a hint. And let's go ahead and tell the focal length. We know it's 25 millimeters. Sometimes it doesn't inherit the focal length 100% correctly. You can see it's only off by a little bit here, but we'll just change it to 25. And now let's double click on the camera solver. And I thought I clicked that, but maybe I didn't, so click that again and then just go to solve all. I'm actually going to abort really quick. And let's go to the translation, and right now we have it on no smooth, but I'm going to make it a high smooth. I know it was a pretty smooth shot on a dolly on set. And for the rotation, just give it a medium smooth. And let's go to solve all. It shouldn't take too long to solve. Alright, 80-something%. When your solve's going fast, it's always a good sign. If it's just staying there trying to think, never a good sign, and it's very possible that your solution won't work. Now it's refining it. Okay, and there we go. You can see the camera path. Just scroll through that. It looks pretty darn good. I'm going to zoom in here. And you see these red trackers are indicating those are really bad trackers. So let's go to the errors panel. There's a few ways you can get rid of those. You can just select them with the marquee tool or click on them and delete them or deactivate them. Or you can go to this error panel here, click Fit View, click Trim button, and you can drag this down so the error is below 2 or below 1, below 0.5, whatever you like. I'm just going to bring it a little bit lower. That looks good to me, and refine that again. Okay, there we go. Now I just want to orient the scene. And if you're wondering about the shot, it's actually from a short film we are working on at work. It's called Lightning in the Bottle. It's a sci-fi film. We got about half of it shot so far, and shooting the other half in a couple of weeks. and a lot of post work to do. But it's turning out to be quite the fun project. Let's see. So yeah, you can check out more of that at bottleoflightning.com if you want. And let's go back to the orient scene. Okay. And let's take a look here at our solve. And you can see the tracker's kind of rebuilt our scene. Here's the green screen wall. And it goes around. And you can see here is our C stand. It's all there. And it does look like this tracker over here is probably not going to be very useful to us. I'm just going to highlight that. And go back to my camera solver. Highlight that, go to trackers, and just deactivate that. Go to refine all. Okay, and let's go back to orient scene. And the first thing I'm going to do here, go to my edit mode, translate. And I want to make this the origin, we'll say. Okay, and that turn the marquee tool off, otherwise you can't navigate in this perspective panel. So that put everything on the ground there and it looks fine. You can also select a bunch of trackers and say, hey, this is like the XZ plane or whatever plane you want to make it. But that looks pretty good to me. Okay. And the scale is already correct. On set, I measured about 3.8 feet at the beginning of the move for the camera. I said about 3.1, so that's fine. We will leave it like that. Next thing I'm going to do here is throw a test object in. Test object. Okay. And let's go to the tall marker. Just put add to, oh, that's the mushroom. We'll delete that one. Tall marker, add to scene, leave it at place at selected feature. And let's simply find somewhere I want to put it. I'll put this one here. Go to the scale. Scale it up a bit. And go to the translate. And let's just rest it right on top of the tracker. Okay, that works. And let's just bring one more to the scene. Place at selected feature. And let's put this one, we'll say right here. And do the same thing. Let's just scale it up some. Go to translate. Just raise it up. Put it on the dot, like so. Okay, that looks good. Just come back to our view here, and let's click off this marker. And let's just take a look at our shot, see if it's holding up. Looking pretty darn good to me. And I would say we're ready to bring this to Cinema 4D. Alright, so now I just want to add a export node to this. And format, we want to use the Lightwave, the NewTek Lightwave for Cinema. Let's find our file path here. Let's go to Visual Effects Daily. I'm just going to add a folder here, name it PFmatch export, and just save it there. And now we just go to export scene. Exported successfully. Now let's bring up Cinema 4D. And I'm running 11.5. There we go. One thing you may want to take a note of is just where it starts at frame 884 and ends at 1209. Okay, now we're in Cinema, so the first thing we'll do is just open up this file that we saved out. And I believe I put it right here. Let's open that up. Leave it at the scale of 100, push OK. Let's go ahead and go back to Cinema, and starting frame, we'll just make that 884. Okay, and there it is, as we would expect. And the last thing I'm going to do here is I'm using something called cactus stand coordinates, or CD coordinates. And this helps just to work with real-world measurements, although in release 12, it actually uses real-world scale. So I imagine that would be the way to go then. But for now, I'm using this, and I'm just going to bring this scale down to about 3.148. That's about what it was in the match move program. Let's see, actually need that on the Y, so I might need to go to like 0.3, 0.25, 0.35, 0.34. Okay, that works. It puts us at 3 feet on the Y. That looks good. Now I'm just going to bring in a background, although I don't have this shot keyed, otherwise I could bring a foreground object in and just place it on top of that. But for now, we'll just use this. Put it in the luminance folder. This is the undistorted plate I exported from PFmatchit. Push no. Go to animation, calculate. And let's see, for this, since we're starting at frame 884, I'm actually going to go to arrange and tell it to start at 884 and tell it to stop at 1209. There we go. Just drop that in. Scroll through that really quick. See, everything looks as it should. Just going to turn the grid off. Okay, that looks good. I'm just going to I don't want that. I'm just going to bring in a model really quick. So let's bring this truck in here. Edit, copy, paste that. And let's go to functions, transfer. I'm just going to transfer it right about there. Zoom out here and start to place and scale this. Okay, so there's C-stands right there. So I'm going to move that down some. Come into the perspective. Raise it up. Let's actually bring the grid back, just so I can place it on the ground. Looks like right about there. There's a C-stand. Let's move that up over here a little bit, and it's going to scale my truck some. This is just roughly making the scale of the truck, so it's not going to be 100% accurate by any means. So we'll just leave it at about like that. Not 100% in the correct space if I was doing the shot for real right now, but it looks close enough to me. So let's just take a look at our match move, see if everything is sticking. You can see it all looks good. Truck is there in place as it should be. And just for the heck of it, we'll turn the background off and just look at it with the truck. Alright, and push play. It all looks good. Alright, so this was the first quick little tutorial, just a brief introduction to PFmatchit and getting your data into Cinema 4D. I will have a lot more tutorials in the future featuring more match moving, more 3D stuff with Cinema, and a lot of compositing stuff as well.